I made a video a few weeks ago called Why Gamers Are Worried About The Last of Us Part 2. And in it, I basically just talked about how Neil Druckmann, the creative director and the author of The Last of Us, has a tendency to put politics and diversity quotas and things like that in front of the actual writing. And he did it sort of in The Last of Us, but then he really did it in Uncharted 4. And so some gamers are simply concerned that he's going to do it again, that he's going to Druckmann the game. And I put this out there. I shared some of my views, but I wasn't super specific. And I want to just respond to some comments, which I think completely misunderstand what the video is actually talking about. And I think it's important. So I will address it and yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, they were not the overwhelming majority. They are a minority, the people that misunderstood what I was talking about and that opposed it in general, but I still want to put this out there because it still is about a third of the people that were watching the videos either completely misunderstood what I was getting at or outright don't care and just say, who cares? Just do it. It's just a video game. And I'm going to read some of those comments because why not? Banana Cell Phone said, who cares if she beat the shit out of them? She's trained. It's a video game. Reading too much into stuff like that can be a bad thing. Certainly. And this is a common theme. People saying it's just a video game. For instance, Siri on PC 1080 said, WTF, people, it's an effing game. One of the best, but please let it be a game. F idiots debating. Play, enjoy, and shut the F up. Respect. Tongue face. Showtime says, it's a game. Get over it. CJ says, I don't get why everyone is complaining about Nadine. It's a frickin' video game. And this, again, I get that it's just a video game, but this has to deal specifically with being grounded in reality and the whole idea of it being a video game. And let me distinguish between the two. Naughty Dog games have two major elements, and it's very clear that this is how they approach it, both in the interviews and also in their actual staff lineup. As you'll see, Neil Druckmann actually is the creative director. He's in charge of the story, of the narrative. He's in charge of making you care about the characters and care about what's happening in the grand scheme of things. He's the creative side of it. But they also have a gameplay side. And they have a different director for this. Bruce Straley. He was the gameplay director for The Last of Us and Uncharted 4. His job was to give you gameplay mechanics that were fun, entertaining, and that were able to communicate the story while also being fun and reasonably believable. That's it. Very simple. But the distinction comes in what Neil Druckmann calls being grounded in reality, which is what this whole thing is about. People saying, it's just a video game, it's not supposed to be realistic. Yes, but only part of it. The story, according to Neil Druckmann himself, has to be grounded. It has to be. Otherwise, you just don't really believe what's going on. There's always this wall that's built up where you're saying, I'm playing a video game, these aren't real people. But if it's truly grounded, if the emotions are real, if the dialogue is genuine, if the story is believable because it's grounded in reality, then you can actually feel a deeper connection. Now, this isn't saying that you can't feel deep connections to characters in fantasy RPGs or something. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for Naughty Dog games specifically, this is how they approach storytelling. So my criticisms of Nadine, as I said in the video, seem to contradict their own approach because gameplay doesn't need to be grounded, which is why Nathan Drake can go take a couple shots from an AK-47 and then hide behind cover for a few seconds, and all of a sudden he's just fine. Or he can run around a mountain climbing and scaling it, then get chased out by, 1,000 boats seemingly out of nowhere, get thrown on a beach, walk around frozen, and all doing this in his late 30s while feeling no soreness whatsoever and not needing a nap or to ever go use the bathroom, like take a bathroom break. That's amazing, but it's not grounded. But it doesn't have to be, because it would get in the way of the story. if that makes sense. Realistic games aren't always fun, and they aren't always great. That's why they're called simulations. They aren't considered games. There's something missing between the two. Games aren't supposed to be entirely realistic. And according to Naughty Dog's approach, that's on the gameplay side. The gameplay doesn't have to be realistic or grounded. But the story, if you want it to truly connect, must be grounded. There's no other way around it. Which is why this whole discussion of Nadine existed. Because it seemed like they were contradicting their own logic. That was my entire point. And in general, most of the criticisms people have towards Neil Druckmann for the delivery of Ellie as gay and like, oh, well, all these gay and black and women characters are showing up. In general, the criticisms that I've read through places like Reddit, through Facebook messages, through Twitter, what I'm seeing from gamers that they feel bugged by this or irked by this, they tend to have opposition to it because it's handled in such a ham-fisted way. Because, you know, Ellie will have one kiss with Riley in a heated moment in a giant mall with zombies chasing after them, and all of a sudden, Neil Druckmann comes out and is like, yeah, she's gay. She's 14, she had a weird sexual experience, but no, she's butch cut. In the sequel, we'll have her hair low, like she'll wear the denim shirt. She'll look just like that lesbian you see at Home Depot. You know, that's carrying gravel on both arms and is buffer than your dad who is in the Marines. Like, that's his conclusion. And people were like, hey, if we're going to do this, at least acknowledge that she's 14. And all of us had weird experiences when we were 14. Not necessarily sexual or having to do with our sexual orientation, but to think that you know who you are for the rest of your life at the age of 14, that's kind of absurd. And so, in general, even the people that are for, like, they hope that Ellie's gay, they're like, I didn't realize she was gay. That just seemed like a, you know, spur of the moment, like, hey, she really loves this person, and that's how she all of a sudden just biologically felt to express it. I didn't think she was gay, maybe bi. Like, it just seemed ham-fisted. It seemed like, as I spit on the camera, it just seemed like it was not approached with as much care as it should have been. And people are concerned that that's what's going to happen in the sequel. And that's fair. That's perfectly fair. I don't see any problem with it. I have no problem if there's a ton of LGBTQAAIP, which is an actual acronym I learned. I don't care if there's someone in the game that's clam-gendered, which again is a real thing. Don't look it up. You'll end up in a rabbit hole and just amazed at what Tumblr can create. But in general, I have no problem with any sort of writing, as long as it's good, as long as I'm engaged, and as long as I care about the characters. I don't care who they put in the game. I'm open-minded. They could have all of a sudden a beaver, a zombie beaver, who takes the place of Joel, and like Joel died, but his soul went into the zombie beaver, and all of a sudden it's Ellie and this zombie beaver on her backpack, like marching through the woods and doing this amazing stuff. I have no problem with that if it's believable and if it's entertaining and if it actually works. Probably won't. If you did that, I would be very impressed and very pleased, but I doubt they will. But I have no problem with absurd things or with crazy things that are incredibly unlikely in the real world, in reality, as long as it's actually grounded. That's what I care about. If I can believe it, go for it. My problem with Nadine was that I didn't believe it. It just pulled me right out of the game. And even people that supported Nadine in the game found that it was a little immersion breaking, mainly because it was quick time events and you could not lose no matter what you did. So there were other problems with it. But in general, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to say. I don't know. It's a different form than our normal videos. It's late at night. It's like 11:30. I just wanted to throw this together because I've been getting a lot of comments. The video's been doing pretty well, and I think a third of the dislikes are dislikes, just a third. So 2/3 of you agree and like it and support the idea of a free, open discussion. Others, if you disliked that video, my guess is you already disliked this video and clicked away. But if you are still here and you still disagree with something I said, let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to be doing a comment reading thing very soon, so make sure that you leave those comments and you might get featured and we can have a further discussion. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Peace out, love you, bye. Hey, did you like that? Well, that was just an extra of the full show I do every weekend. So if you haven't seen it already, check out the links and everything that's popping up. It's really awesome. It's like an hour long, ad-free. It's just a great time. So subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you see it. It's pretty cool.